just the facts and not spread fear. And you can send us your questions anytime by texting 503-226-5111. Every night we like to start the show here with a guest to answer your questions. Joining us now live is Danielle Kane, the Oregon State Director with the Better Business Bureau. Danielle, I know almost all of your clients are small business owners, and I'm sure they have so many questions about how to survive this entire thing. What are you hearing from small business owners?
Yeah, that is absolutely correct. So that is the bulk of our customers. And right now we're hearing that they are mostly concerned about their staff, the well-being of their employees. Can they keep them on? And can they keep the lights on is the big question.
And I know you
right
have
now,
some numbers for us, right?
The unemployment numbers,
yes.
Exactly. Yes, so as of today, March 26th, the federal government reported that there have been 3.2 million unemployment claims filed. That shatters the all-time high during the Great Recession of March 2009, where the unemployment claims were about 660,000.
Wow. And let's talk about, okay, I know this has a very long name, but it's really important. Tell me about, it's the Emergency Unemployment Insurance Stabilization and Access Act of 2020. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so this is an important thing especially for small business owners to understand, to get a little bit familiar with. As you put up on the screen, it provides $1 billion for emergency grants to these small business owners. 500,000 of that, so half of that, is going to be reserved for states that experience an unemployment claims increase that is more than 10% than their previous this time the quarter last year. At this time, it's looking like a lot of states may qualify for that type of relief, given how high these unemployment claims are.
Right. And what about Oregon? Any idea if Oregon will qualify for that, or is it too early to tell?
You know, I don't know exactly yet if Oregon is going to qualify. Most likely, I would think so. I think the Department of Labor is coming out with some more broken down statistics of what these unemployment claims like state by state. But it has been a little bit of a slow roll with these numbers and getting this data collected and out there.
Okay, and you know, really the most important question is, what can these small business owners do to avoid layoffs, if anything?
Yeah, so that's something we really want business owners to know, that there might be other options out there for them. There's things you can do, like forced vacation for employees using their already budgeted PTO. You can do some mandatory reduced hours. You can look at cutting the 401k contributions for the time being, you know, getting rid of that match for now. And then you can also look into furloughing some of your employees in the hope that those people will be coming back in the coming months. And I think probably our number one tip among all of these things, no matter what you choose, and even if you have to choose layoffs, is to be honest, be transparent, and be direct with your employees and your staff, because that's what they're going to appreciate.
And, you know, have you heard from business owners having to close, you know, that just really can't make it during this time?
Unfortunately, yes, we have. And at Better Business Bureau, we're hearing from our customers, our local people. I'm trying to have my ears to the ground with our contacts to understand what they're doing and if they are having to close. Yes, anecdotally, I have heard this from my contacts here, as well as friends and family in other parts of the country.
Yeah. It's a tough time, but great tips for small business owners. And I think the most important one, like you said, just be honest, be upfront with your employees so they know, so they're not blindsided, right?
Exactly. That's exactly it, because right now it's all about trying to maintain that trust, even in these trying times, even in this crisis. You want to maintain that relationship with your employees throughout, and the best way you can do that is by being direct.
Great. Thank you, Danielle, so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
So the $2 trillion corona relief package is now one step closer to being finalized. It was passed by the Senate this morning, but still needs to be passed by the House. That's expected to happen tomorrow. In the meantime, though, we've been getting a lot of questions about what this means for you and if people on Social Security will see those checks. Our Lindsay Nadrich has some answers.
I talked about this yesterday, but a lot of people still have questions, so I think it's worth repeating. If the relief package passes as expected, almost all of us would get a rebate check. It's a one-time payment, and it's based on your income in 2019. If you haven't filed your taxes, though, they would use your 2018 income. So here's how it would work. If you make $75,000 or less, you would get a check for $1,200. If you're married and as a couple, you make $150,000 or less, you would get a check for $2,400. And if you have children, you would get an additional $500 per child. Now, if passed, the White House said we could get this money in the next 3 weeks or so. And if you have direct deposit with the IRS, you would get your check faster than if you have to wait for one to come in the mail. Now, a ton of people have reached out asking, what does this mean for people who are on Social Security? Do they get this money? I talked to certified financial planner Josh Frankel about that.
Yeah, as far as we know, that they would be eligible, and the one-time payment that the government hopes to get people in the next 3 to 4 weeks is based on adjusted gross income. So whether you're on Social Security or not, it's going to be based on your overall income if you're eligible.
I also read the section of the bill about it, and it doesn't say there are any exclusions for people on Social Security. It just says to be eligible, you have to have a Social Security number and that you can't be claimed as a dependent on anyone else's taxes. I'm Lindsay Nadrich, KGW News.
Well, you know, as Lindsay said, your money should come via check or direct deposit. And of course, scammers are trying to take advantage of this and convince you otherwise. Take a look at this story from our Verify team that explains what not to do to get your money.
As the coronavirus spreads, so do myths and rumors online. That's why the Verify team is here to look at these online claims and find out if they're real. Take this post on Facebook, which has been shared more than 520,000 times. The recipient warns that he got this text reading, $1,000 to help you pass the outbreak has been pre-accepted. On Twitter, a similar post. Make sure you fill out the application for FEMA assistance so you can get that $1,000 check by next week. So let's verify. Are these online posts telling you to click a link to claim your payout legit? To find out, we reached out to our sources, the Department of Defense, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and the Federal Trade Commission. And we should note, this story is changing by the hour. The Senate just agreed on a bipartisan deal, which is now heading to the House. It would give most adults $1,200, and parents would get another $500 per child. And yet our experts warn that scammers are out there. FEMA said this: anyone who tells you they can get you the money now is a scammer. That's why the FTC is helping us out with a couple red flags. First, the government is not going to ask you to pay a fee to get that payout. Second, the government is not going to ask for your Social Security number, bank account, or credit card number. So we can verify. False. Many of these online posts telling you how to sign up to get a stimulus check are not legit. Your best bet is to wait for an official source to tell you how to collect.
And up next, are you taking the order to stay home seriously? Please tell me you are. A leading doctor explains the big difference that staying at home can make in the spread of this virus. But first, let's do a question. Here's a question from an independent contractor for Postmates who wants to know if they can still go to work. The answer is yes. Because you are working in the restaurant business, but in a to-go capacity, you can go to work. If you can, limit your interactions with customers, though. Leave food outside the door for a customer. How long is this entire thing going to last? I talked with NBC News science contributor Dr. Joseph Fair. He says, you know, one of the big problems when it comes to answering that question, some states have stay-at-home orders while others don't.
That's actually my biggest concern at the moment. Until we do that on a national level, and I emphasize we need to do it and have to do it all at the same time, it's not going to work. Say, for example, if you're in California, you're closing down for 2 weeks, and just a hypothetical, but Arizona is not doing the same thing. After your 2 weeks is over in California, if someone is then infected from Arizona and travels into California, it all starts over again. That's why it's essential we do it as a nation and all at the same time.
You know, the president mentioned Easter as a date to open things back up. Is that at all reasonable?
Unfortunately, the virus doesn't know about Easter and doesn't follow religious holidays, so it's not feasible. It's incredibly optimistic, and in my opinion, incredibly irresponsible to talk about it being finished by Easter. No projection from any scientist that works in infectious disease projects this will be over or even flatten the curve by Easter.
Dr. Fair is a big part of the team at NBC Nightly News, helping you to stay informed about coronavirus, and you'll also see him here on our 7 p.m. Q&A show. We've interviewed him several times. He always tells it like it is. You know, the leading infectious disease doctor at Emory University says he'd put a national stay-at-home order in place, even as the president says he's looking to reopen in a few weeks. Dr. Carlos Del Rio explains why it's so important to stay home.
If I have an infection today, and I continue doing what I'm doing, at the rate this virus transmits, in 5 days there'll be two and a half people infected. And in 30 days, there'll be 406 people infected. If I'm able to decrease my exposure to others by 75%, in 5 days, there'll be 0.6 people infected. And in 30 days, there'll be about 2.5 to 3 people infected.
Wow.
So the difference of new infections going forward by isolating those that are infected is tremendous. And we need to see, that's the reason we want to do the stay at home, because you want to be sure that you don't have more transmissions going forward.
You asked us, how long can the coronavirus live on surfaces? Thanks to researchers at the National Institutes of Health, the CDC, UCLA, and Princeton University, we now know. But the answer can really vary depending on the type of surface. If you walk by someone infected with the coronavirus, it isn't going to be suspended in the air just from their breathing, but in a cough or a sneeze, the virus is shot into the air, and in that form, COVID-19 can last up to 3 hours, even after it falls to the ground. On plastic, it can live for 3 days. Same with stainless steel. And copper, 4 hours. How about that cardboard box? COVID-19 can last up to 1 day. So remember, keep your social distancing. Wash your hands and wipe down surfaces. Let's work together to help flatten the curve and focus on the facts, not fears.
Up next, answer your questions about keeping your home clean to fend off the virus. Turns out it's easy to do when you're following the stay-at-home rule. But first, let's answer another question from an apartment renter. They say, my apartment building has a community laundry room. I'm concerned about washing my clothes here. How do I do it and still stay safe? Great question. The answer, the washing process itself should kill the virus on clothes if you can use hot water. However, be careful about what you touch in the laundry room. Wash your hands after and consider using, a cleaner on surfaces where you might put your clothes. Okay, let's answer some viewer questions now. This viewer wants to know, I was wondering if since we are all at home, if it's necessary to still constantly clean all surfaces as often as we were when we were all still working and going to school. My family has been home for days. Okay, so one of the rewards of self-isolation is feeling a little more secure when you're at home, a space where you don't have to worry about touching things or touching your face. Dr. Claire Wheeler, a public health specialist at OHSU and PSU, says as long as everyone is staying put, it's okay to relax a little bit. She would still recommend, the strict no shoes in the house rule and having a decontamination station at the door to be used when anyone goes for a walk. All deliveries should be wiped down. And you still want to clean, you still want to wipe down surfaces and wash your hands. She said, though, you can relax just a little if you follow the isolation guidelines. Okay, another question. It's a great one. I think it's one we can all relate to. With all of the hand washing that we've been doing, I've noticed that my hands have become dried out and cracked. Is it okay to use a lotion or something like that to battle the dryness? Is there something that doesn't compromise the clean? This is an important question because when hands get too dry, they start to crack, and this creates more places for bacteria to invade. Overwashing, like we've all been doing now, also strips skin of protective oils and waxes. So it's a good idea to moisturize after washing. If you're at home and your home is clean, you can simply moisturize with hand cream after washing and drying. If hands are very dry and starting to crack, you should use an ointment instead of a lotion. And our next question is one we've been getting so much since yesterday. Will retirees be eligible for any funds from the new stimulus plan? Yes. So most people who are receiving Social Security, retirement, and disability payments each month will also get a stimulus payment. Please keep those questions coming. We will answer as many questions as we can every night at 7 o'clock during our coronavirus Q&A show. And up next, we've been updating you on the number of coronavirus cases daily, but how does Oregon track the cases? We find out next. But first, how about another question? Oh, and this is a good one. Can I still use my reusable bags for grocery shopping? The answer, so far the only store chain that has confirmed here in Oregon that they banned reusable bags is New Seasons. At some stores like Safeway, you have to bag your own groceries if you do bring bags. Coronavirus cases changes daily. You wanted to know if Oregon is telling people where the hotspots are, where coronavirus cases are appearing down to the zip code. Kyla Boshi has that answer.
Health officials in Oregon do not release confirmed cases by zip code. They do provide a daily tally by county, which is a big number. Now, many other states and local governments have started providing this information by zip code or even neighborhood. In fact, in Los Angeles, you can go on a website and scroll through looking to see if your neighborhood has confirmed cases or not. Experts say there are goods and bads here. It's valuable information for healthcare workers and first responders because they know the area they're going into. Also, they can plan and allocate resources. But the public may have a false sense of security. They may look at that map and say, there are no cases in my zip code or my neighborhood, when in fact there are. That's because when it comes to coronavirus, oftentimes people who are infected don't show symptoms and they're not tested. Therefore, they may not be on that map.
Kyla Boshi doing such a great job answering your questions every single night. You know, with so much information going on about the coronavirus, we want to make sure you have the facts. So one question a lot of people have is how the virus spreads. Dr. Serino from Adventist Health explains.
With regards to COVID-19, this is a disease that is primarily spread through respiratory droplets. Those are the droplets that we produce when we cough, when we laugh, when we talk, or when we sneeze. And so usually we're talking about a radius of about 6 feet. And so, so the disease can be contagious because of how it's transmitted.
You know, some of you have been asking who is hiring right now. We have some answers for you. Amazon is looking for delivery drivers, warehouse workers, data engineers, and more. FedEx and UPS are looking to fill several positions. There are also a lot of stores that are hiring. That includes Albertsons, Safeway, Fred Meyer, Winco, and Walmart. Natural Grocers is looking for cashiers and cleaners. Green Zebra needs a store manager. There are a number of personal shopper jobs, too, that are available through different services like Instacart and Shipt. We have links to all of these on our website. You know, we want to thank you so much for joining us tonight and also, you know, sending in your questions because it really does make us feel just a little bit better to be able to help you in some way and to provide you with just some answers. And a little note here, tomorrow night at 7, we're going to bring you a special edition of Straight Talk with Laurel Porter about the coronavirus. And we'll be back on Monday with our 7 p.m. Q&A show. In the meantime, head to KHW.com/facts not fear to look at all of our past stories. Thank you for joining us this whole week.